Hello, I'm Dell, and welcome to What You Need to Know About Home Studios for Social Media. This video is actually the second half of the previous video. It looked like there was no way to get it to fit all of it in one show, 20 minutes or less, so we split it up. That gives us a little bit more leisurely pace on this one. So this one we're going to finish up looking at the engineer's panel, and we're actually going to run a stream and show you what that looks like. Now, where we left off our previous video, we had set up our audio interface in the engineer's panel so we could play clips and intro and closing music. We've also added our show control or our timers in our system, and now we're ready to do the actual interface to, in this case, YouTube. Now we can do quite a bit of different things with it, and I don't want to get too deep too far because we can make multiple shows off any one aspect of it. But the first thing I think we'll need to look at is how to set up a basic transmission or stream. Now here we have our center panel in OBS, and we would come to File, Settings, Stream, and we're going to have a password for our session, or they call it a stream key. It just has to match both in the YouTube and on our OBS, our studio, so that they match and they exchange it. We'll use the standard YouTube gaming and the server, standard server, and we're not doing anything exciting there. Now we have a maximum bit rate of 51,000 and 160 kbps in audio. Now, can we stream that fast? Probably not. Now maybe you're on glass, you got fiber and you're able to do that, but I'm certainly not able to do that. In fact, I want to cut away to this little pre-recorded demonstration as we set the video speed or the stream speed that we have. Let's go to that right now. Now, before I go live with the stream, I want to find out what my maximum bit I can stream at from my home in the holla with my computer and my internet and my household features and all of that to go with it. I want to find out what I can do because I want to produce as high of a stream as I possibly can, but I don't want to drop out frames. So first thing I do is I bring up my panel, center panel, OBS, and we're going to File, to Settings, and in the stream setting it tells us that it's a maximum of 51,000 kbps and audio at 160 kbps. So in the output screen, we go to output, we got streaming and we got recording, and we can record faster and better than we can in a stream. But our stream, I've got it set for 6,500. That has historically been where I can go, even with my doorbell camera and my other things that are constantly uploading to the cloud. Now, you might want to give a little bit of leeway, especially if you have a family and people are hopping on, pulling emails and stuff like that. You don't want to cut it all the way down to the finest bit. So there we have it. What I would do to test it, I'd put this up around 16,000, which is the natural bit rate for full HD 1920 by 1080 60i in H.264 compression. Now, I don't believe for a moment that this will be able to hold that, but we'll go ahead and do it. So we're going to go ahead and click Apply and say OK. Now what we're going to do is go over to our panel to the right. Let's go ahead and put in all three. So now that we got all three panels showing, let's go ahead and start a stream. And what we're going to do is we're going to work down here and watch this. You see, we're streaming at the 16K to the recording. Okay, we're going to start a stream and just see what bit rate it'll hold, because it'll tell us how much CPU we're using, and it will give us an idea of just how much we're able to hold before it starts dropping the rate. Ready? Here we go. And we're seeing a very unstable stream. It's bouncing between 960 and 85, and it's all over the place between red and a little bit of orange and some other. So it's capable of doing something less than where we are. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up there and make some adjustments. So it looks like we're not going to be able to hold 16K. And looking at that, I'm guessing around 8 or so. So we're going to go up here and change it to 8 to see if we can actually hold 8K in a stream and hold it in the green. So let's see what we got going on. We can let it run for just a little bit of a second or two. See what we got. It looks like it can run 8. It can run staying in the green. Our drop percentage is getting better because obviously we're still building on what failed earlier. So I can do 8 here with that. Now I'm going to go over to my other panel and I'm going to kick my camera back on. Are you watching my green light? Watching my bit rate down here. We are telling it to run at 8K, and it's running at 8K stable. But now this is the effect and why it's important that you know what your bit rate can be. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And it's going to take a second or two because it'll start to stream and upload to the cloud. And as soon as we do, we're going to see it go yellow. And we are in fact seeing it start to fail. It can't keep up with it. There we go. We got a red one. We got a yellow one. It can't hold it. So while the camera runs, we're getting a little bit of green there as it's booting up. I don't have the camera on screen. I'm going to save that for myself, for my own view. But we can see we're actually dropping down as that camera's trying to boot. And I've got its wheelie go round in circles because it can't get its bandwidth enough to even get up and spool and start clouding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to File, Settings, Output. Now I'm going to change this down to 6500. That should be enough to let the camera start uploading to the cloud, and we should get a good spool at that speed. And lo and behold, that's exactly what we see. So it's going to make a big difference depending on whether or not you have fiber or what your upload maximum speed is. I think I'm on 10 megs up is the maximum, so I'm kind of limited. If I had better or faster upload speed, it would be different and I could stream a little faster. But if you don't come in and do this kind of pre-stream check and know what you have to work with, you can't set a good stream. And when you go live, you'll start dropping a lot of frames and you'll look kind of ugly. It's better to have a lower bit rate and have it uniform than to have some couple of really good pictures in between all the jitteriness. So we've looked at that little video clip and we understand what's going on. Now we just need to go ahead and look at our outputs, because we can actually have different outputs. And why will we have a different amount of output for streaming versus our recording? Well, streaming we've set at 6500. I can sustain that without having drop frame rates and error. The video is probably not going to be as nice as that which we are recording, which is 16,000. Now 16,000 is in fact what the default level we need to get a full 1920 by 1080 60i using an H.264 compression. So we actually can record a show using OBS much higher quality than we probably can stream. So what then is the benefit of streaming if we're going to have less less video, less quality video. Well, it's for that viewer experience. What we want to do is, by being able to go into the chat window and interface with us live, give us access, that's a pretty nice thing to do. It is sacrificial to the point that you got to, if you rob Peter to pay Paul, you're going to have some trade-offs. Well, in this case, you're not going to be able to do as great a video. Now, you can record your video at full HD setting and then upload it later, if that makes sense to you. You can then upload a cleaned, post-processed, fixed it in post, where you take out any misspeaks or slow typings or anything like that. You can still take your output from the recording and use it to build a show and upload, because if your permanent upload shows are much better, that's what you would want to do. Where you lose there is you can't have the live interaction. You have to leave a message. So that's the point of streaming. So let's go ahead and look back at our console, and let's get ready to look at that left hand or that right hand, the engineer's screen. Okay, here we are. There's our audio. There's our show control. Here's my YouTube. Now, I bring my YouTube up in a different browser than I normally use. I normally use, Chrome. This is Microsoft Edge. And I bring this up in two different browsers because if, in fact, I was working on the left-hand panel over here showing something from the internet, a news source, and I'm just going through my browser, I may show it on this one, and when I get done and I close it out, I don't want to accidentally close my stream. So using Microsoft Edge for this portion of our show, the live stream, is to me a logical thing I want to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and come over here and go to the plus, bring that down, click go live. And now we see it start up. Now we're not actually live at this moment. We've just told YouTube to log in and we get ready. Now we have this. This is our password, as we talked about before. It is a stream key, they call it, but it's there. Okay, we are ready to broadcast a stream, but we haven't turned it on. If you go down here and you look up to the top, we haven't started streaming. We've already tested our bandwidth that we have available at our location, and we know we got it good at 6,500. And we see that we are recording down here at 16, but we're not outputting. And this is very helpful to a degree, but it's not quite as helpful as we go to this the right-hand panel. Now here's our right-hand panel. Now we need to edit our live show, what we're going to have before we actually go live. So I have a title, Demo of Engineers Panel, description. I set this to private because I'm going to practice. I don't really want my subscribers to see this video. This is just a demo, and we're using it for data inside of our tutorial video. But now we set that up, and we come down here, and we set the entertainment, and we've come up with a little cheesy little thumbnail for it, demo stream, and it's not going to a playlist, anything like that. And you come through here and you get all of this set up, select your language and your date that you record and all that, like you would if it was a uploaded show. So you get all of that set and you're good to go. Now we have three panels here: stream settings, analytics, and stream health. And at all times we can still see any kind of chat once we go live where somebody might want to talk to us. Now I can do a pop out of the chat and put it actually into a scene as we would like the Zoom or anything else, or internet or any other piece of it. I can show that in there, but just for the general purposes, at any time during the show, doing it like this in the engineer's panel, I can see a chat come in. Now we have no data because we're not streaming. And we have no analytics because we don't have anybody logged in and nobody's watching us, so we don't get to see that action going on. but we still can see all of our audio and our timers, and we're good to go. Let's say we're getting ready to go live. Well, let's go over to our center panel again. Let's hit start streaming. Start our 9-minute timer, our 19 and our 28. Click back. And we are going live, and you should see it pop up. Now that's what's on OBS right now, is our 3-panel scene, so you can see what we got. If we turned around and put in a regular scene, you will see my face being broadcast as just like it's part of the show. And it should catch up in just a second. There I am. There's a little bit of a lag, and there's some stuff that we can do about that. Let's go back to that center panel. Now, in our center panel, we do see that we're 44 seconds live. We see that we're recording 8 minutes in this recording because we're going to save it. And we see that we're running about a third of our CPU, 60 frames per second. We got a good green light at that 6500 bit rate. Here we got that same number up here again, and we're recording at full HD, H.264. So we are in pretty good shape with our stream. Now, what would we do if we were going to run a normal show? Well, the first thing, before we switched over and went live like we just did, we would probably do now you can't hear me on the pre-stream, because that is, if you remember the previous episodes, that's where we had our communication with our special guest. So when I switched it over, I did talk a little bit, just long enough to prove that you couldn't hear me. Amazing. Just so imaginative with this. But in the pre-stream, that's the way we have it set up. So we would go to pre-stream and then switch over to a scene. In this case, we're broadcasting the center panel, the OBS panel. Now let's go back to our 3 panels. Now, we see in the analytics, we see that one person is online. That's me. That's us. Now, if we had other people coming in and coming out and dropping in and dropping out, we'd be able to watch them on the show's analytics. We can always flip it over to the stream health, but we can pretty well much get that information down here in OBS. We got that green square down there. Now, the reason I work so hard at getting simplification in this stuff is because, quite honestly, there's a lot to be thinking about if you're trying to play engineer, producer, and actual on-show live performer. It's just really hard to do. So you need to, I can't stress this enough, you need to practice a little bit like this. Set your stream to private so no one can see it but you, and practice and watch your stream health. Learn how to get around it, and this is my setup as far as we go. Now, I'm 5 minutes in it. I believe we're going to be able to end this demonstration. Now that's my close on that. I'm ready to stop the stream. So I stop the stream. I come over. Let me go ahead and put my all 3 on here. I stop the stream in OBS. Now I have to come tell YouTube to stop. YouTube will say, do I want to edit it? Yeah, go ahead and end the stream. And now that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this panel, and we're good to go as far as that goes. Now, back to the closing. Our stream is done. We've closed out. It's time to say goodbye. I appreciate you watching. If the video is good for you and you appreciate this kind of show, please subscribe to RLDL149 on YouTube, my regular channel, my old channel, and on Rumble to Del Hollow Productions. The benefit of the Rumble channel is you get 2 weeks in advance. About 2 weeks in advance, and that'll give you about 4 shows that you get to see before they appear on YouTube. So it may seem like a little bit of a double clutch in there, but we've got it, and we're on both channels. It's always good to have a backup. I do think you need the Rumble player, whatever that is, in order to see these shows on this particular playlist. You can find me without it through the Rumble YouTube joint venture thing. But if you want to see them in advance, get the Rumble player, Del Holler Productions. Appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.